Good day and a warm welcome on behalf of NTI Audio. In this webinar, I want to provide a first overview on the features and functions of the new XL3 acoustic analyzer. This is not an in-depth presentation with all details. I'm rather hovering over the key features in order to let you better understand the functionality and the beauty of this instrument. My name is Markus Becker. I'm presenting and moderating this webinar, and I'm assisted today by Greg Schmiedle, our product manager, who is basically taking care of the incoming questions. Here you see the topics that we have prepared for you. We will start with a comparison of the XL3 versus the older XL2 analyzer. Then I will say some words about the connectivity, which is a key feature of the XL3, which is then followed by the major part of this webinar, the practical presentation. After that, I will summarize the key issues that I have shown and add some more hints and tips. The whole presentation should last about half an hour. Well, here on this table, you see the comparison between the XL3 and the XL2 acoustic analyzer. I will not step through all the details, through all the lines. You can see the XL2 basically has a much wider range of features and functions. And that is actually intended because the XL3 has been designed to focus on three applications. The first one is the sound level or spectral measurements, especially in relation to noise monitoring. And the second and the third application are the room and the building acoustics, which are apparently quite closely connected to each other. So behind these applications, we are talking about the reverberation time and the sound insulation measurements. These are the major fields for which the XL3 has been designed, and you will see it offers very nice features in these three fields, which make possibly your choice for this instrument much easier. So let us take a look at the connectivity of the XL3. First of all, it has a built-in Wi-Fi module, which means that you may connect the instrument by a Wi-Fi network to the internet and thus remote control the XL3, but also very simply download stored data from the instrument to your PC. Furthermore, this connection simplifies the update of the firmware or also of options, which I will show you later. Next, we have an USB-C connector in the instrument, which acts both as host or client, which again allows you to download data from the instrument or to remote control it. Actually, you can also connect a USB-C to LAN adapter to this connector, which would then allow you to link the instrument to your Ethernet network. And last but not least, you can use this connector also as battery charging. For the battery charging, we also have, of course, a plug for the mains adapter, but you can also charge the battery through the USB-C connector. Then if we look at the bottom of the instrument, we have the slot for the micro SD card, but also a USB-A connector, which acts as host only. And that means you can control external devices through that connector, for instance, a weather station, or you can connect an external hard disk, an SSD drive, for instance, to the device. For instance, if you have long-term unattenuated noise monitoring application with lots of data to be saved on the instrument because you are lacking a connection to the internet. So that would be a possibility to extend the onboard memory of the XL3. Then we have a so-called M8 connector. That is the type of this connector, and that actually offers two features. The first one is the one-wire digital I/O interface. You know that possibly from the XL2. That is an interface that allows you to trigger signals or also to place or to mark events in a long-term noise monitoring. Second, through this connector, we are also offering an SDI 12 interface. This is a standardized interface, which is possibly or typically used for weather station connections and other applications. Furthermore, we have a headphone jack on the right-hand side of the instrument. You don't see it on this picture, you will see it later, and also a built-in loudspeaker, so the same as you are used from the XL2. Well, that brings me already to our practical presentation. You're going to see in a minute how I'm going to connect the XL3 via the Wi-Fi network to my PC, but also to a mobile phone. But let me first switch over to the corresponding screen. That is this one here. And in addition, I'm going to activate my webcam. On there. And that is where I would like to start. Here we see the XL3. Here on the left-hand side, as mentioned before, the M8 connector, the mains power plug, or actually the plug for the mains power adapter, LED that shows whether the device is charging the battery or not, the USB-C connector. Then here we have at the bottom the micro SD slot and the USB-A connector. And the other side we have the headphone jack. Here to the rear we see the fold-out stand. We see the battery, it's a lithium-ion battery. We see the built-in loudspeaker and a thread for a tripod adapter. Furthermore, we can see there is a microphone connected to the instrument, which we can unplug. It's an XL3 adapter. So the first thing I want to show you is how to connect the device to the internet and to your PC. Unfortunately, the webcam has not a very high resolution, but you will see in a minute the exact screen content of the XL3. So by just wiping down the same way you're used from your mobile phone, you can select the Wi-Fi icon, and here there is an entry which is called WLAN, the Wi-Fi LAN network. Here you see the selection of available networks. We just choose one. We enter the password as you are used with your mobile phone. I have already done that, so this is already active. And now we are actually ready to connect the device to our PC. And for that purpose, please take a look here to the left-hand side of your screen, the NTI Connect website. You see up here, the URL is connect.nti-audio.com. You just open that website, then you enter the connect key. The connect key is unique for each XL3 unit, and you find it here on the screen of the XL3. So I just copy that link or type it in. I click on connect. I enter the password. The password has to be set on the XL3. I already did that. And by clicking on connect, now you're going to see the screen content of the XL3. But not only that, you can also control the XL3 this way. So when I click back here, see, I'm landing here at the sound level meter mode, and my XL3 did exactly the same. So I have full access, remote access to my XL3. Now let me do the same with my mobile phone. Because the connection is not limited to a PC only, in parallel, I can also connect a mobile phone. So again, I open this website, NTI Connect. I enter the key. Just let me take a look here. I already did that before. So connect. Same with the password. And now you can see the three instances. We have the PC software, the screen content, we have the XL3 display, and we have our mobile phone, and all are virtually on the same level, which means whatever I do on my mobile phone will be transferred to the XL3, and the PC shows the same effect as well. And I can do the same here with the XL3, and you see the effect will be for the PC and the mobile phone as well. Very important, the connection is limited to 2 external devices if I'm looking at the situation from the XL3. Second, these 3 devices do not need to be in the same Wi-Fi network. I can place my XL3 far away in a different network as long as it is connected to the internet. I get access to this specific device. I can remote control it. I can download the data. Same with the mobile phone. And in addition, let's assume you are somewhere out in the field and there is no Wi-Fi network. Then you can open a hotspot on your mobile phone, connect the XL3 to that local Wi-Fi or hotspot network. And so you have also, again, the full access to the device. So I'm going to take that away and just concentrate on the screen that you can see here in my NTI Connect website. So the next thing I want to show you are the other settings that are supported by the instrument. And for that purpose, I'm clicking here on this small wheel on the top right corner. Here we have the general settings. And so far you have seen all the menu entries were in English, but if I like, I can change that. I can switch to French. I can switch to German. Back to English. There will be more languages. We are currently implementing them. So there will be Chinese, Japanese, Spanish, Portuguese, whatever. You will have a very nice selection of languages supported by the device. You can select the time zone. Here it is important to know that the XL3 automatically synchronizes to the time of the internet. So you cannot adjust the clock, but you can, of course, select in which time zone you are located. Here you can select the decimal separator. You can decide whether you want to be prompted to save the data that you have recorded, whether this shall be done automatically or only manually. I leave it as it is. You can change the color scheme of the instrument. You can switch it to dark, what you see here. You can switch it to blue as an alternative, or to the light one that I'm going to leave here for my presentation. And last but not least, in order to save power, you would typically reduce the time of the display being switched on to 1 minute, 5 minutes, whatever. Here I leave it at never, according to your preferences. Okay, let's go back. Then here, that was the page you already saw with the connections here with this connect key. And by the way, down here, if you are connecting the XL3 to a hotspot, you need to then enter this IP address on your mobile phone, and that will provide you the access to this Connect website. Here they see the installed options. On this device, all the currently available options are already installed. By the way, if I want to install a new option, I can do that myself, or I can let my sales partner from NTI do that. And in the case of the latter, I just need to click here on the update button, and then the option will be installed automatically on the device. Battery is not so interesting, but here on this field, you see the serial number of the XL3. You can see that I can assign an individual name to every XL3. Here you see the firmware version, and in case that we, NTI, are launching a new version of the firmware and you are connected to the internet, the instrument will detect that and show you here, there's a new firmware version available. Just click a button and it will be installed. Very comfortable. So these were the system settings. And another screen I want to show you here is the microphone, the calibration screen. You see it here. You can see the instrument has automatically detected the type of the microphone, M2340. It has read the sensitivity of the microphone, activated the phantom power. Now, if I'm using my microphone outdoor, For unattended noise monitoring, I need to apply a windscreen on the microphone, and the corresponding correction file can be activated through this submenu here. Same, I can also flip between free field and diffuse field measurements. And last but not least, if I want to make sure that the calibration has been done correctly, I can control it or redo it, and I'm going to show you how this works. I'm just going to plug a calibrator to the microphone, switch it on, and press here the start button, and then the instrument will execute this calibration. You see there is no deviation. The sensitivity has been calibrated correctly, so I'm sure that all my measurements are correct. Well, that were the settings, the fundamental settings in the beginning, and now let's take a closer look here at the sound level measurement mode. You already saw that's the numerical display. Here we have the spectrum display, and if we click on this icon here, we can adjust the settings of the sound level measurements. We can adjust the logging, for instance, whether we want to have the spectra included or part of the spectra or not. The logging interval can be go down to 100 milliseconds with the corresponding option. We can decide whether we want to add the audio recording and in which format. We can, for talking about long-term noise monitoring, we can restart the instruments once per day at a certain time in order to chop the data into chunks of 24 hours. And we can also select the levels that we want to save. I'm going to take a closer look on all these features in another webinar when we will have a more detailed look at this sound level meter mode and the measurements related to it. And right now, I'm just showing you an overview. So here I continue with the gliding LEQ levels. This is another possibility to save this data during the recording. By the way, you can also select in which intervals or in which time periods the LEQ shall be calculated, the gliding LEQ shall be calculated. You can do the same with the level statistics, the percentiles. You can also edit them according to your demands. And then we have the correction values for live event surveillance to determine the correction values. I guess you know this procedure from the XL2. I'm renouncing on doing that now. Here we can change the display layout. Right now it's called set to medium. Let me switch it to small. Then you're going to see the corresponding layout or the outcome. You see now we have 5 values to be displayed. I could also switch it to just one large value, in this case here, just according to your demands. I go back to my previous selection, and then here we have a last selection. But I'm going to say more about that in this specific webinar, so I don't want to say too much about that today. Going back here to our numeric display, same as you're used from the XL2, but now more comfortable due to the touchscreen. You can decide which value you want to show, Z-weighted, A or C, or even more. You can slow, fast, all these maximum, minimum, live. You select, you make your choice and say, okay, I want to have LC peak, live, without correction, and so on and so forth. So you can compose your screen according to your demands. And as soon as I start my measurement, you see here the LEQ will now give me this line. This here will show me the LEQ result. I can apply a pause to my measurement. I can restart the measurement or actually continue the measurement. Here you see, by the way, the timing. So this is a 30 minutes one-shot duration. I can change that. Right now it's already running. That's why it's fixed. I can stop the measurement. Here you see now that's where my measurement data will be saved in this file on the SD card. So here you have all these functionalities. Next page, the spectrum. Again, you can select the level type that shall be shown here on the spectrum. Now there's a very, very comfortable, nice feature, and that is when you click here on the scale, you can change the scaling. You can change this, you can scroll through the graph, and you can even zoom into the graph. You see here, I'm now reducing the range in which I see the graph. So, and this allows me to exactly highlight that part of the graph I am interested in. And I can do the same here with the x-axis, which means I can restrict my spectrum to a number of bands, only the ones I am most interested in. And I can also here scroll through that, of course. So let me go back to the original state. Let's say it here. I can decide whether I want to have third octave or octave resolution, and I can adjust the cursor mode. Now here you see this yellow line, that is the position of my cursor. Right now it is manually controlled, and that means by clicking here on the arrow buttons, I can do that of course also on the instrument. I can toggle through my graph. I can also see the wideband levels, and you will always see here the result down here of that cursor position. Good. So that was the brief look at the sound level meter. Now we have two other functions to be presented briefly. The one is the reverberation time. Let us start with this screen here. Here we see the live value, and here to the right bottom you see the settings, so we can decide according to which method we want to calculate the results. You can change the resolution, third octave or octave, the trigger level. You can even log an audio file together with the measurement depending on your demands. Now let's get back here. And let us just start a measurement, and just to show you the principle, how it works, I'm going to clap in my hands now. Wait, I have to set the, yeah, it worked. But I'm going to do it again. I set the level markers first, and now I'm going to start again. So the results are, of course, not very relevant, but to show you the principle, you see these small ticks. They tell me that each band has been measured successfully. I can stop the measurement. It will be saved. I can take a look at the results on a graphical screen. So these are the reverberation times for each band. Same for the numerical results. Once again, we will have a separate webinar on the room acoustics with the reverberation time measurement, where I will tell you more details about that. This here was only intended to give you a brief overview on that, give you a better understanding how it works. And then we have the third one, which I will show only very briefly, the sound insulation measurement. Here we have these two screens. I don't show any practical presentation here because it would be too complex, but what is important to know is here, this feature allows you to measure the sending room and the receiving room, and to immediately show you, or let the system show you, the combined, the calculated sound insulation results. So you don't have to export this data anymore to a laptop. You can do everything on the instrument. You can repeat the measurement, and you will see immediately the outcome accordingly. We will have a separate webinar on that as well. Now, having done all these measurements, you want to possibly download the results to your PC. How do you do that? Well, we have three options. The first one is by flipping from screen, where we have just been, to storage. And now on storage, you see the content of the SD card. Here we have the subfolder and our folder, my project. And here we have all the data, all the folders with the individual data that I have recorded during the day or maybe yesterday. You see, this is the latest one. And if I'm interested in, I can download this data by clicking on this icon to my PC. Second alternative is by connecting the device via the USB cable to my PC. And now I will open Windows Explorer. I just have to change here my screen view. Yeah, here you see the Windows Explorer. You see by connecting the device to the XL3, by connecting the XL3 to the PC via a USB cable, it pops up here as a mass storage device. I can open the content of the SD card with the two subfolders, and here I have all my measurement results. Now I can drag and drop this data to my PC. And the third option would be if I unplug the micro SD card and plug it into a card reader that is connected to my PC. Please notice that when you transfer the data from the XL3 to your PC, either via USB cable or SD card, you're absolutely free regarding the amount of data. However, if you could transfer the data via the wireless link with this connect website here, then you are limited to 2 gigabit per month. If your data volume exceeds this value, then you need a special option. I will come back to that later. So there's the only restriction regarding data transfer, 2 gigabit per month if you do it wireless. Wired, of course, you're absolutely unlimited. Well, so let me get back to my presentation. And yeah, going here. And this one. Okay. So summarizing the key aspects, first of all, keep in mind the XL3 has been intentionally optimized for sound level measure, noise monitoring applications. Very important, type approval is coming. We have filed for the type approval at PTB in Germany and LNA in France. It will take a few months and then we will have it, but it's in the foreseeable future. Then the other two fields that we are focusing on are room and building acoustics for this instrument. A very important feature, the connectivity, very comfortable. You have seen this connectivity through the connect.nti-audio.com website. In addition, we are right now working on binding the XL3 to the Noise Scout platform as well. So if you are already using the Noise Scout platform, you will be able to connect it to the XL3 as well. Then fundamentally, we have the user-friendliness of the XL3 that has taken another major step forward. We have the localization, several languages. There are more to come in the near future. We have a large touchscreen, intuitive operation. It makes a lot of fun to operate and use this instrument. And furthermore, we have now online user manual. You see here already two links for the English and the German version. Chinese, French, Japan, Korean will follow very soon. More languages will follow. But not only that, as soon as we have updates of the instrument, of the functionality, we will also update the manuals. So you will have a direct access to the most recent manual online whenever you like. Coming to the options that are already available for the instrument, we have the extended noise measurement, extended room acoustics option, already installed on my instrument, same as the sound insulation option. The type approval, as stated before, will come very soon. And we have an API application programming interface. If you want to integrate the XL3 into your own environment, if you want to program your own application around it, you can do that with this option here. Then, coming back to what I said before, if you want or if you have to transfer larger amount of data, larger meaning more than 2 gigabits per month, then you need this NTI Connect Open Data option that is unlimited. Otherwise, you are limited to the 2 gigabit. And Noise Scout also, as stated before, coming very soon. Then, last but not least, we have 3 PC software packages: the Room Acoustics Reporter, the Sound Insulation Reporter, and the Data Explorer that have already been updated in a way that they can cope with XL3 data. So whatever you record with the XL3 can be imported to any of these 3 packages in order to do the post-processing. And my last point here in my webinar is the upcoming presentations. We are planning one for the sound level meter mode, the noise monitoring. We have one for the room acoustics, of course, talking a lot about reverberation time measurements, and the building acoustics webinar for the sound insulation measurements. You will be informed in time as soon as we have these presentations ready. So that brings me to the end of my webinar today. From my side, I want to thank you very much for your attendance, for your interest. I hope I was able to answer most of your questions. I wish you a nice time. Stay healthy. Thank you and bye-bye.